We're here at the National Muzzleloading Rifle Association range. My name is J.L. Hargis, and I'm going to describe some things about what's happening behind me. We're at the intersection of the two of the ranges, the bench range and the offhand range. What I'm going to do is attempt to describe what's happening mostly on the offhand range, which is behind me. The shooters are on the line, obviously shooting muzzleloading guns, but this is called offhand range because all the shooters there have one thing in common. They're standing up, holding the gun with no support other than their own body, and they are shooting targets that can be posted at 3 different distances. The distances the targets could be posted would be at 25 yards or at 50 or at 100. The targets that are out at the longest distance are usually larger diameter targets, and as they come closer to 25, the target sizes are reduced. Now, they have to purchase the targets when they arrive. Those targets are marked as to what kind of gun they have to use for that particular target. The guns on the offhand line with basically 3 types of firearms. Obviously, they're all muzzleloading firearms, but part of the guns are using the ignition system that is ignited by a percussion cap. Some of them they are using the firearm that's ignited by a flint, and some of them are using guns that are more updated and are more what we call modern, and those guns are using scopes in most cases. But the one common thing is they all have to stand up on their 2 feet with no support other than their own body and shooting the gun. The most difficult guns to shoot on this line are obviously the flintlock rifles because the ignition is a little bit slower and sometimes they misfire or they don't fire at all. Now, on this range, from the time the competitor posts his own target and the range officer gives the command to begin firing and shooting, there is a 30-minute period of time that they have to shoot officially 5 shots on their target. Now, they're allowed to post a sighter target or a practice target right alongside the regular target in most cases, but they have to complete their target within that relay. The only exception would be if there is a malfunction with the firearm and they tell the range officer, raise the hand or go down and approach the range officer, tell them they have a malfunction of equipment. And he will then note on the clock what time it is, and they'll be allowed to complete that target after they repair their gun at a different relay. But those are some basics that occur within the offhand range. We have matches here for different groups of people. We have women shooting. They shoot in their own classification. Juniors and intermediates shoot in a different classification, and the adult men have several classifications. The younger men that are 60 years and younger all shoot in the under 60 class. Once a person reaches 60, they shoot in 60 and over, and then when they reach 70, they shoot in the 70 and over classification. So they're all competing in their own classes and among the sexes, obviously. So that's the basics of what happens on the offhand line. And we shoot 2 basic kinds of targets. We shoot round bullseye target where the center ring is the smallest ring, and that's what everybody's trying to hit. Or we shoot a number of events in which we're shooting at animals on paper, obviously paper targets. And on the animal targets, they are pretty realistic, and the scoring rings are somewhat different on those. So that's the basic and fundamentals of what's happening back behind me.